Welcome back, Dota 2 fans, for our third game of the day. This is London Conspiracy versus AlbumSheet. LC making their debut in Bridon League, and they're coming off 2 tournament wins in the Deadly Gaming Invitational as well as SLTV Pro Series 11. We covered SLTV. LC looking very good in that. I am Maurice Please, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster, joined by D Swordfish. We are HeflaTV, your English coverage. D, what are you looking forward to in this matchup?
Man, the matchup itself, dude, it's gonna be LC vs AlbumSheet. Pretty much, I guess the big matchup we were waiting for in this group.
Yeah.
I mean, these two are like the big name teams, pretty much. And already starting out with Alina, man, like this is good.
Yeah,
I don't know what this Lena's gonna be. Mid, I guess, maybe.
It's definitely an odd start for LC. Probably something they could have picked up a little bit later in the draft, but certainly it's a pocket strat that they're a little bit comfortable with running, and maybe they look to scare a few of you that do have your keys and arcanas on them. But either way, should be a pretty fun one. Very strong, very common opening coming from AS here. They've got the Venge Brew. They're going to ban out the Lycan, so definitely not something that's too favored recently, but Majara, pretty good with the Lycan in his hand, so either way, they're going to remove that Ancient Apparition Juggernaut taken out by LC.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much more standard bans by them.
Yeah.
The Lena pickup is just, I guess it's kind of scary because at least AlbumSheet right now cannot pick 2 squishy heroes if she's a core, because she would probably get Aghanims. That hurts a lot.
Yeah.
So on top of any squishy carries that usually go BKB, because she can crush them, like PA, for example. So it really limits the pool for AlbumSheet, and I think it's actually a really good power play by their part.
Yeah, it's definitely an intimidation factor, as you mentioned, so it will kind of hinder the ability for them to go for a little bit more of those stable, hard 5-position supports. Venge, not the squishiest support, being that she is an Agi hero, but definitely still very susceptible to the magic damage toolkit of Lena. And with the IO there, we're certainly not sure yet if this Lena is going to be in a core or support role, so definitely some cheeky stuff coming out from LC. Skywrath going to be picked up from AlbumSheet here, often considered a counter to that Brewmaster, and with that Ancient Seal buffing up the magic damage from the Lena's toolkit, at least before it becomes pure damage, is a pretty potent combo there. So definitely a wise pickup by AS. Enigma Disruptor going to be banned out from LC, and Witch Doctor Dazzle taken away from AlbumSheet.
I mean, the bans here for AlbumSheet, again, pretty typical. They're really trying to get the team fight factor up, because obviously the Witch Doctor and Dazzle, both very strong team fight heroes, and they went for their own Brewmaster and Skywrath Mage, which I think this pick might have been one of those like pick bans, like make sure that you grab it so the enemy team doesn't grab it. So obviously, like, this secures a very strong team fight by them. They've banned any other strong team fight heroes, and obviously Enigma has been banned as well by London Conspiracy. So AlbumSheet definitely wants to take this to the mid game and kind of win there.
Yeah, Brewmaster very strong around that 20 to 25 minute mark, and Earthshaker going to be picked up by LC, so still a little bit of variability in LC's draft. Could she a core Earthshaker? Probably more likely that we see the core Lena here, but Earthshaker IO roaming combo, not too bad, especially once that relocate gets up. Earthshaker can contribute from range with that Fissure, and especially if he's able to get a blink off, though not the best Earthshaker game at this point. No units from the side of AS to speak of. They pick up a very tanky core in the Viper, so they'll probably put him over towards the safe lane with the Brew in the mid, but still Viper in the mid lane, Brewmaster in the off lane, not totally out of the question for AS, so still a little bit of variability for them, but we probably do expect 2 cores to come out now from LC.
On top of this, the fact that obviously there's not many units, it's also the fact that there's a Viper, which resists magical damage pretty well. And the Venge can swap you out of position rather easily, on top of the Brewmaster being a tanky hero, which can turn the team fight around with a Primal Split. So I'm not really sure I love this Earthshaker pick. I think there were better pickups in this case for a good team fight. But it's going to be solid in the sense that, I mean, obviously in the early game, it's going to give you quite an advantage because he's a really good hero in the early game with that Fissure. He doesn't need too many levels. So it's a very non-greedy pick. I don't know how effective it's going to be. It's really going to depend on the last 2 cores, like you said. What cores are you thinking about?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, they can go all in with this pure magic damage and grab up a Queen of Pain. An early Orchid is nice against the Brewmaster, so I
Yep.
wouldn't be too surprised to see that come out, but that really does lack their ability in the late game. And they're going to pick up the Necro, so they will go pretty heavy on this magic damage toolkit. A little bit of stayability in lane as well. He's very effective with the IO, and deceptively so with that Death Pulse spam, able to keep him up. So Necro's not a bad pick here, but I still feel like they need to supplement with some sort of right clicks. However, they probably are going to look for an off lane hero late in this draft here. Doom going to be banned out by AlbumSheet. Wraith King going to be taken out from LC here. Wraith King probably not the best hero to add to this lineup for AlbumSheet here, but definitely with the burst damage that they do rely on, they don't want a hero who has a second life, with the Reaper Scythe and the Laguna Blade being such a big chunk of their damage.
Yeah, right now this Wraith King, I guess last time was kind of a nuisance. Maybe that's the reason. Last game we were talking with AlbumSheet, perhaps it was that. I don't know. It's not the strongest of bans, but then again, AlbumSheet is in quite bad position because Necrophos is the anti-carry per se.
Yeah.
He really doesn't do much as a carry, but he really destroys whatever carry you got, except for the Viper. But the Viper doesn't really fill that role usually. So this is probably, right now, AlbumSheet is going to have quite a hard time. Never mind, actually. They're not going to have a hard time. They're just going to pick up Medusa and go for the full-on late game.
Yeah,
Very
interesting
ballsy.
pickup from them. It is ballsy, and that's certainly the word to describe it. Their lanes are going to be weak because of it, and they're probably going to have to go aggressive tri-lane around the Viper, leave the Medusa in the safe lane, put that Brewmaster in the mid. That's kind of what I expect for them in terms of laning configuration. LC going to pick up Relax's Broodmother here. He's an absolute menace on this hero, and I expect him to create a lot of havoc throughout this mid game. And it looks like once again we're gonna see LC pick up a timing window where they need to finish off AlbumSheet, and around that 40-minute mark, unable to do so was a Little Busters Forever in the last game. But LB4E certainly put up a good fight, and LC definitely been a little bit stronger than them lately, so I do expect them to have a little bit more success with this lineup. But I think what you touched upon really stands strong here in that the Earthshaker, a very safe kind of reliable pick at this point. I don't know if it gives them enough aggression to quite get over that hump, but we'll see how they fare in this one.
Also, something I really like about AlbumSheet's draft is like the fact that they picked the Medusa last. I don't know how effective the Medusa pick will be necessarily, but that means there's no Nyx pick to counter her. They're really gonna have a hard time getting any sort of mana burn unless they decide to, use the weird, I don't know, maybe Lina Diffusal. Like, it wouldn't be the worst to build, honestly, against a Medusa, but
Yeah.
you have to do some kind of weird creativity. So it could be a very powerful late game carry.
Yeah, definitely so. There's not anything to directly counter it up. You could go for like a Broodmother Diffusal, but as you mentioned, there's certainly no typical Diffusal Blade builders on the side of LC. So maybe we see Necro Books come out from one of the cores for the mana burn there. Necro Books are pretty good on the Broodmother in general, but she doesn't generally fight in the 5v5 engagements, so we'll see how it ends up panning out. But yeah, LC definitely have a timing window to hit their stride here and to take down Baraban's Medusa before she gets too fat, because as you mentioned, if they allow her to get to critical mass, they have really nothing to stop her. So will be interesting to see how this one pans out. Perhaps LC in their debut here a little bit more willing to try a crazy strat, being as they will have 5 games to play after this one.
I think in this case, LC, it would not be the craziest thing that after the Aghanim on Lina, which I'm assuming is going to be one of the first items, they would go for a more physical damage-oriented Lina, because they do have this Wisp. And, I mean, this Wisp, you can go for a physical damage for Mother, but it's usually better to reserve her for pushing. And obviously, Necrophos goes for tank. So this Wisp is kind of wasted, at least his overcharge. But with Lina, who's a pretty legitimate carry, honestly, with that Fiery Spirit, you could potentially go for maybe an Orchid / I guess Scythe of Vice, something of the sort, which is utility but also gives you a lot of damage, and then go full on physical, and that could really hurt the Medusa. It wouldn't be the craziest thing to get a Diffusal on this Lina.
Yeah, it wouldn't, but I think the Scythe of Vice or Orchid is certainly invaluable in this one up against the Brewmaster. They're going to rely heavily on this Brewmaster early on to create a lot of space, and it looks like they might actually put Akvarium in the mid on the Viper, and perhaps the Brew in the tri-lane with the supports, or maybe just solo in that off lane and defensively posture up behind their Medusa. So AlbumSheet are going to be hard-pressed to find some farm on this Brewmaster if that is their laning configuration. Looks like he is the one not to connect in thus far, and unfortunately are waiting for Afterlife here, so hopefully we can get these issues remedied sometime soon, but should be a very good one once we get it started.
Indeed, and talk about this Brewmaster. It's gonna be quite interesting how I mean the Brewmaster obviously needs to hit his I guess his prime rather early in the game,
Yeah.
but he's gonna have to compete against a Broodmother who's a different kind of prime. Obviously, she once she hits their prime, and she usually does it around the same time as the Brewmaster, she just starts pushing towers. And I mean, you could obviously farm her Spider Rings rather easily with the heroes in Album Sheet side, but it is gonna be a very huge nuisance, and you're not gonna be able to gank as much because she's gonna be constantly putting pressure, which could be a really good like pseudo counter per se
Yeah.
to the Brewmaster.
And it is going to be a while before, presumably, before Split Shot is skilled up here for Baraban, so they will have a little bit of trouble bringing down those Spiderlings until a little later on. They are going to have to commit at least a Brewmaster Clap with the Wave of Terror or something along those lines in order to do so. I do expect Relax to have a decent time on this Brood, but as you mentioned, they're going to have to commit something to his lane. He will start to push down these towers, and perhaps that gives the space for the Lina Necrophos combo to start doing work. Laguna Blade into a Reaper Scythe is a kill on most of these heroes aside from the Viper and the Dusa once they get some itemization going, but bringing down that Brewmaster shouldn't be too much of a problem to that combo.
That's actually very true. The only issue, obviously, is the fact that you really need to bring down the Brewmaster easily, and right now they don't have much lockdown except for the Reaper Scythe, obviously, but you might want to reserve for the Medusa, most likely. And the Fissure is not the best lockdown because it does put you in a weird position if you use it just as a stun. So I think in this game it would be either Orchid on the Broodmother, Orchid on the Lina, maybe Orchid even on the Necrophos if needed, but you need that item almost certainly.
Definitely Lina and Brood wouldn't be too uncommon to build into an Orchid. In fact, for the Brood, it's probably pretty common of a build recently, and aside from the Necro books is probably what he'll go for. Can go for a BKB at some point, but as up against that Stone Gaze and the extra physical damage offered by it, it probably won't be the greatest BKB game for LC here. There's not too much to worry about aside from what the support combo has to offer, and unfortunately looks like we're gonna have this one stalled out quite a bit for you guys. But LC gonna play up 2 games today, and the next one will be versus Aspera, so this will be certainly indicative of how the group will go henceforth.
Yeah, especially if you can get some more drafts like this one, I'll be pretty happy. Like honestly, Broodmother, I love seeing Broodmother in LC. It's a hero that they play pretty well, and it's always really interesting to see. I think it's Denial, the team that also plays Broodmother a lot. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. BU does run it quite a bit. Denial merged, and they're kind of basically unknown now. They actually just beat up Meepone in Dota Pit, so looking very good are they. And they completely rolled over Group B in Bridon League, so they'll be joining X Game, BBC, and the winner of this Group D in the next stage, which will start up in just a couple days left of Group D coverage for you guys, so certainly stay tuned for that. It looks like we do have Afterlife finally connecting in, and we will introduce up the lineups for the Radiant side. We've got AlbumSheet playing in their second game of the day, currently 1-0. Ink Visitor picking up the Skywrath Mage along with Afterlife on the Brewmaster. We've got Baraban picking up that Medusa. Aquarium was on the Zeus in game 1, now on the Viper. And finally, rounding out the lineup is our friend the Vengeful Spirit with that funny name.
As for the Dire side, we're going to have Mr. Relax as the Broodmother in the offlane position. Then mid, it's going to be Kaiser as Lina. Up top, it's going to be a defensive tri-lane with Madara as the carry Necrophos. The two supports being Skanks as the Earthshaker and Spartan? Spartan as the Idol.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good roaming combo. Like defensively, they should be just fine. Big 4-man movement, actually 5-man movement coming out from AlbumSheet to look to find something early. They will be able to ward up here to give a little bit of information, or sorry, here I should say to give a little bit of information towards their offlaner, but not going to block up any pulls for now. Just going to secure this top bounty rune, and the bottom bounty rune should go to Relax here, which is a nice start for the Broodmother if he's able to pick it up, but guess he's a little worried about some rotations. They have scouted out perhaps briefly towards the top lane earlier on. 10 seconds till this rune spawns though, and he could be aggressed upon with the concussive shot here from Ink Visitor. He will look to back off and should be just fine.
It's amazing how valuable these bounty runes are. They introduced like that extra EXP mostly, and obviously that extra gold is just so powerful to any mid-game hero. I think especially the guys have to dominate the lane, like a Viper or Brewmaster in this case.
Yeah,
It's really
securing that
interesting.
advantage is really valuable, as you mentioned, and especially for offlaners, I find too. Getting up that early level 2 for most offlane heroes allows you to have a lot more survivability. But will be an interesting mid lane matchup. Should be fine for Kaiser to farm. Akvarium, once he gets up a couple points in that Nether Toxin along with the Orb Effect, should be able to harass out this Lina fairly consistently as well. Looks like we'll have the defensive Tri-Center around the Medusa for AlbumSheet, and they will leave Afterlife all by his lonesome in this off lane. So no kill potential early on from the Necrophos Earthshaker IO combo, but they will be able to get some kill potential once they skill up a few of their abilities.
That was very weird. I just saw like Io Manning up against the Brewmaster, just like, no, I'm gonna take you on. I don't know. It's gonna be. I mean, I think it could turn out to a kill early on, and I think that's what they probably want to do against this Brewmaster. A proper fissure should do it, but obviously the lack of damage from the Necrophos and the Io until he gets like a couple levels in spirits is gonna make quite hard for them to do it too early. Meanwhile, Earthshaker's gonna roam around. Though.
Yeah. So we will see a roaming Earthshaker. Looks like he blocked up a lane perhaps early on. Did have to rotate back to the base, and top wave Hadouken goes out from the creep wave. Gonna harass up Madara a bit. A little bit of harass coming out mid lane. Akvarium with that boots advantage, trying to take out Kaiser. He's gonna whiff the Light Strike Array. This may be our first blood. Diving underneath the tower with that corrosive skin, able to do so. Kaiser gonna be dropped here. The IO, the only one rotating in, may feed over his own life here. Akvarium not gonna look to dive under that tower again with the creep wave available, and your first blood goes away of AlbumSheet.
I love the IO. They're just walking in like, no, I'm gonna kill this guy. Oh wait, no, actually gotta back out. It was really good. Very, very. I mean, the rotation should have come much earlier from him. He could have tethered the Lina and maybe saved her. I think it could have been a possibility, but a little bit late reaction by the supports on London Conspiracy. Still, not the worst of deaths. Lina didn't lose that much gold, and she should still get her bottle relatively early.
Yeah.
So, I mean, could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse. Nice start for the Viper, certainly, though. And the Earthshaker postured up defensively behind Lean now, a little bit worried about that rotation. And Concussive Shot comes in. Magic Missile will be there as well. The Fisher can look to block, but Akvarium positioning very far forward. Well played from him. Good discipline. And already, Kaiser going down twice in this mid lane doesn't bode very well for LC, especially that the Earthshaker is not top, so they can't have any kill potential on the Brewmaster as these rotations are happening. Relax has found his level 3 in the off lane, but as has Afterlife, and he's almost level 4 on this Brewmaster.
Yeah, his Brewmaster surprisingly leveled up. I guess the lack of aggression because of the roaming Earthshaker has really allowed him to stay near the lane. And now he's going to go on Madara. Madara, he's trying to kill him here. The Hadouken, man, this Satyr has hit every single hero on this lane.
He's just angry right now. Just get the hell out of my woods. And he's doing quite a bit of work, but either way, no kills coming of it. Soul Ring going to be purchased up from the side shop here, presumably by Relax. He will have a little bit more kill potential. Meanwhile, top lane, Afterlife being harassed onto, but it doesn't look like there'll be any kill potential, and everything going to stagnate for the moment. Relax has been scouted with a sentry here bottom, but he's just going to walk out of the periphery of that and should be just fine here. Kaiser playing very defensive in the mid lane. Akvarium level 5. Kaiser not even level 4. This is really, really scary thus far for LC.
It's actually quite bad for LC because they do rely on the Lina getting those early levels in the mid lane, and obviously, I mean, the farm is not as important, but the levels it really is to get those Laguna Blade kills. Obviously not the Viper, but any other hero. So he really needs to, even if he stays in the XP range, it's all he needs because he can't let the Viper just, trample over him like that.
Right. And Akvarium going to secure this top rune here. It'll be an illusion rune, unfortunately for him. Not going to give him much kill potential, but I mean, with the right clicks and as soon as he picks up Viper Strike, should be able to bring down Kaiser fairly easily. He will throw a lot of harass into Kaiser, who has to back off underneath the tower. And he's going to be very worried on this Lina. The Earthshaker not doing much, still sitting at absolutely 0 XP on Skanks. And he really needs to start finding some levels or some kills in order to start building up his effectiveness in this one. And they're going to secure a little bit of a lead for AlbumSheet, 1,500 in the way of net worth and experience, already in excess of 1,500 as well, and we're only 4.5 minutes in.
I think an interesting comment to make here is, what does the Lina do in this position? Because he really needs to get back some sort of lane dominance. Should the Earthshaker perhaps rotate to their lane and get a kill, or...?
I don't know that they have the kill potential at this point with only the 3 points in Dragon Slave. They need the Laguna Blade, I believe, so they could rotate over the Wisp just to sustain her, but Wisp himself is very killable from this Viper, and the Brewmaster is having already way too good of a time in this off lane, sitting at almost his level 5 here, and compare that to Relax, who is actually level 5.5, so the Broodmother probably the one shining, gleaming hope for thus far LC, and he will actually pick off the Medusa with his Spiderling, so Relax doing very well. He's actually chasing forward as well onto the Vengeful Spirit with those units. Doesn't have the Soul Ring for another 19 seconds though. Can't look to put another nuke into the Vengeful. But yeah, Relax doing quite a good job, but Brew still finding way too much in this lane for being up against the Try. Mid lane, they're going to have TPs in. The Fisher will block out Akvarium. The Light Strike Array going to hit as well. No Laguna Blade, however, quite yet. Viper Strike goes out onto the Wisp. The Illusion's going to be popped as well. Should be able to bring down the Wisp, and he does. And Skank's rotating in. Going to try and TP out. He's being hit by the tower as well. Double kill going the way of the Viper, and very, very uncoordinated engagement there coming out from LC, and we just mentioned it. They're going to need the Laguna Blade to kill off this Viper, and without it, he survives easily and actually finds a double kill.
I mean, that was really bad. They wasted the time of the 2 supports, obviously. Now top is without any help for quite a while, and I mean, the Lina could also not get last hits, and they lost the 2 supports to begin with. I don't know, the Viper only has 3 levels in corrosive skin. He's not an aggressive build. He shouldn't be getting this amount of kills, yet he is, which is the issue. He's gonna get a really early mech if this stays this way.
Yeah, he's already got a buckler up and on the way, so his mechanism not too far off now. As you mentioned, Afterlife able to sit up in lane. Bottom lane, Relax is running into the tree line, shouldn't be able to be scouted out. Mana is in the abundance for the Medusa, but the Spiderling's taking him down once again. And Relax is really the only thing keeping LC in this right now. 2 kills already on the Medusa. God. He gets a double kill over onto the Skywrath Mage. I didn't even see that one. Wasn't expecting that. The Spiderling still doing so much work. Soul Ring is available once again. He'll be able to nuke him down. Triple kill going the way of Relax's Broodmother. And you see why they prioritize this so often for LC. And the Broodmother saving your rares with her babies right now, folks. So be ready for some commitment over to this lane. From AlbumSheet, pretty heavy. They'll probably bring in either the Brew or the Viper at one point. They can't give too much momentum over to this Relaxed Broodmother.
I mean, they've tried everything. I don't know if you noticed, but that Skywrath Mage bought Dust and Ward just to get this Broodmother, and she's just playing really well. I don't know if it was London Conspiracy or another team where they actually built the Broodmother in a more of a physical carry kind of form. And in fact, she's getting a Midas, so it could be the same case here. It's not the worst because she's actually a decent physical carry if you get her to snowball early, and she still keeps that pushing potential. So it's not the worst idea, and obviously it's just the fact that if she gets the snowball early and she kind of starts carrying the team, it might be what they have to do to, you know, stay alive, because the Viper is just really farmed right now.
Yeah, and did
Skank's
find
now in trouble.
A tower destruction there. Yeah, he's gonna throw the
yeah.
Fisher though. He'll be just fine. Very nicely played by Skanks to block them out, but certainly a little bit too much commitment there, and they lose their tier 1 in the bottom as well for AlbumSheet. So Relax finding a lot of momentum, as you mentioned, picks up that Midas. Gonna look to continue to widen that level gap. He's already sitting on the top of the experience chart, level 9, above Akvarium in the mid, who's 4-0 on this Viper. So that Midas certainly gonna allow him to accrue an experience advantage here, but things still looking scary in the other lanes for LC.
Good thing LC is doing though is they got some stacks for the Lina. I mean, previously they already used them, and now they're farming the jungle, and they're farming pretty efficiently with this IO help. So Kaiser is recovering decently. He's gonna have that Laguna's Blade already, so he's gonna be able to get some kills early. And the Laguna's Blade doesn't have the biggest of cooldowns, so they should be able to get a couple kills early on. And he's also going for drums, so I mean, it's pretty good. The Lina has recovered pretty well, and now they should be starting their strong mid game against the Brewmaster, who doesn't have the blink just yet. Yeah,
I believe that's got to be that next priority target for them is Afterlife. They need to delay up this blink dagger, which is coming at a reasonable time for a solo offlane. Brewmaster already 1,400 gold up on him, and he's been left to his lonesome to farm the lane. He's also got Ink Visitor postured up behind him in order to defend him up if they go for kill potential. So it looks like they were expecting this from AlbumSheet, but they are going to look to back off the Skywrath Mage. And right now, Skywrath Mage only sitting at level 4. He's above, of course, the Skanks Earthshaker, who has really had his level progression hindered as he's had to roam around. But the IO is already level 6, so relocate is available once they find an ideal target for it.
I think this Urshick is starting to worry me because he is very underleveled, and yeah, if Fissure level 1 is really all you need for an Urshiker, but not, 9 minutes in. He should have his ultimate relatively soon, or that's the ideal situation. And he needs the Blink as well to start being effective in team fights, but I can't see that happening.
Yeah, bot lane, they're going to rotate down the Venge and the Skywrath. A little bit worried about Relax's potential here to take down the Medusa once again. And Medusa has found her Phase Boots and a Wraith Band as well on her way to Aquila. So not totally underfarmed, but those 2 deaths hurting her quite a bit overall. Only 2,700 net worth, barely above her offlaner. And this one, relocate, bottom out. The Fissure is there as well as the Scythe, which is going to be early, but the Laguna Blade finishes off the Brew. And that's something we alluded to in the draft. The quickness and the kill potential there on the Brewmaster. Akvarium gonna look to jump in on the Wisp. Will hit get a Light Strike Array to the face, and it's just gonna be fine to back off. Meanwhile, Relax pushing in that bottom lane, so a nice clean kill going the way of LC here, and a good first usage of that Relocate, Reaper Scythe, and Laguna Blade.
More importantly, on the Brewmaster as well. That's actually what we were talking about earlier. They're going to delay his Blink Dagger and obviously take away some XP and farming time, which is really good. So this is probably the best situation else you can hope for, and they're getting back into the game with a lot of Midases, one on Necrophos as well. Really interesting item choices here. They're clearly going for that late game.
Yeah, which is interesting because we figured that they did have kind of a timing window up against this Medusa here, but if they're able to shut her down continuously, then minuses shouldn't be that bad, and they just want to continue to hold on to that advantage that they have generated thus far. The Broodmother already a level 11 with that 2 levels in Insatiable Hunger. Got to use your Midas though, Relax, and he does. 2,500 gold up on the Brewmaster, 26 now. We'll see what the build is from him. Blink Dagger does come out from the Necrophos for the jump in. Reaper Scythe to commit as well to that relocate gank there. So things starting to look a lot better for LC. 5-4 is your score 12 minutes in.
Yeah, that Blink on the Necrophos, they could really start being, really mobile on this hero now, and potentially start to get pickoffs rather than team fights because they don't have the team fight potential just yet. And I think that's probably what they want to do right now, and just kind of use the Broodmother to put pressure on the bottom lane while the rest of the heroes get random pickoffs.
Relocate is up again. Kaiser in the mid lane with the Wisp, and they do have Mandara top lane, so perhaps they look for a relocator. Concussive shot does go out onto the Necrophos. Ancient Seal is there. Relocate coming in from the back lines though, and the Dragon Slave gonna hit on 3. Big Fissure as well. Reaper Scythe will be there, but not even needed. Laguna Blade is there first, so, and the Primal Split doesn't get off here from the Brewmaster. They're going to kill him off again. That's a 3-0 going LC's way in the top lane. Viper Strike coming out from Akvarium. Immediate TP out from Madara. Will he make it? He will. Great play from Madara there. Very heads up, knowing no disable is around. And Skanks now found that level 5 on his Earthshaker. Meanwhile, tier 2 in the bottom lane is going to fall here. There is a glyph available, so they can look to deny it, but not even going to pop that. Relax gets the last hit there, and the Broodmother starting to hit critical mass, and this game turning in a big way towards the favor of LC.
Yeah, this Broodmother is doing exactly what his job is, just put pressure as the rest of his team is being effective. The beautiful thing is just Medusa is not useful in team fights, like you said, at least right now. Yeah. So the Broodmother can kind of play on these 4... Oh, now they're going to go in the Wisp, actually. Gus a shot on him. He's in trouble. Oh, poor Spartan is actually going to go down to the Skywrath Mage. Meanwhile, Kaiser is being chased down by Viper, but he's a TP away and be okay.
Yeah, no another swap available there from the Vengeful, and can't get in range for that magic missile. So just the Wisp kill, not the biggest deal, especially considering Relocate was already on cooldown and is going to be up when she respawns, so not bad at all for them. Relax farming up the entire Radiant jungle as well is going to deny a lot of farm from Baraban, and only with Phase Aquila on this Medusa, they are going to need the Brewmaster to start picking up the Blink. Akvarium needs to get a little bit bigger. Does have the mech as well as an Ogre Axe, so well on the way to a BKB here as well, but still a lot of kill potential thus far. High ground ward going to be popped here by Relax as well. Looks like it may have been pinged out by the Radiant side from this ward, but either way, he is present and he is looking pretty fat right now. Mid lane, we do see an engagement. Viper Strike out onto Kaiser. Relocate back from the Wisp. He's actually going to break the tether here. Kaiser's going to look for some aggression, but I'm not going to be able to grab it. Relax, though, is slowing down. Akvarium's going to get hit with the concussive shot. The Fissure is going to block things off. Light Strike away, not going to hit. But the rune taken by Kaiser here. Relocate back out to the mid lane, and they will just back off for now. This has given Afterlife a bit of space, though. 1,800 gold on the Brewmaster, and he will look to pick up that Blink Dagger soon. However, he is only level 8, even under the Kaiser Lina at this point.
Yeah, which is actually pretty bad for the Brewmaster. I think they really started to concentrate on shutting him down once they shut down the Medusa, and they're doing a really good job of that, really delaying any sort of mid game that the guys at AlbumSheet could have. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
obviously Brewmother pushing, and on top of that, the Earthshake is actually level 7, so he's really recovered. He's actually doing really well right now.
Yeah, it's incredible how much he's been able to come back
Oh.
in this one. Bot lane, they're going to go out onto Ultra HS. He's going to pop the Stone Gaze right away, but the Eul Scepter is here from Kaiser. He's going to drop down. They will be stoned up and swap back onto the Medusa. They'll bring down the Wisp pretty quickly. Light Striker Ray going to hit on 2, however, as is the Fisher, but they will back off for now as they are blocked out. And that kill is going to go the way of the Medusa, so a nice little pickup for AlbumSheet. Unfortunately, the first use of the Eul Scepter from Lina is not going to bear fruit, and just a 1-0 going the way of AS. But once again, just a Wisp kill at this point.
I think that Fisher was a little bit bad position because they could have gone to kill me with the Broodmother. Either way, at least it stopped the fight. It wasn't the worst, and like you said, it wasn't only an IO. He has relocate, but it's not the worst to kill. He doesn't really need that many items. On the other hand, Lina, who has a Yules, I really like this kind of build of utility first.
Yeah.
Because really good against the Viper, and also obviously with a Light Strike Array. And maybe she goes for Aghanim second. Is that probably her item?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, certainly you need to supplement their burst here because they rely heavily on it, and they are reliant on magic damage. You do expect the Viper to build a BKB. Jumping mid lane, clap. Primal Split is there. Fisher is going to block out Akvarium, but Skanks should be able to go down here to the fire aspect of the Panda. He'll stick up, grab a bounty rune for good measure, but he'll end up going down regardless. And bot lane, Relax looks to go in onto the Medusa. Stone Gaze is up in 10 seconds, however, and she's a little bit close to her base here. Relocate actually going to be really deep from the lineup of LC, and they'll get the Reaper Scythe to cancel that TP. That's a big kill. 75 seconds down is that Medusa. Apologies for the phone, guys.
It's okay. This Medusa actually going down is quite key because there was a Reaper Scythe as well. So on top of it all, obviously she's going to take quite some time to come back and be able to farm. And those 30 seconds in the early game is actually quite crucial to your survival. So really good place by LC right now. Yeah, they lost again. They keep losing their supports, but these supports are are pretty farmer dependent. I guess the Earthshake only needs Blink. So they're in pretty good position right now.
Yeah, definitely taking favorable trades. 9-7 is the score, but look at the net worth chart. Only Akvarium is even relevant from the side of AlbumSheet. Everyone else looking very good. Even the supports looking decent for the side of LC. Skywrath Mage for Inquisitor farmed fairly well. He's got Arcane Boots as well as 2 Null Talisman, but he's not going to be too influential right now. We haven't even seen the usage really of a Mystic Flare thus far. Relax is a little bit deep behind enemy lines, but should be just fine on this Broodmother. And he is going to look to find a kill on the Skywrath. There is a Sentry Ward here, though. He's going to be able to rotate down to the low ground. Should be a fairly easy kill with the Spawn Spiraling. He's going to take a Mystic Flare to the face, but he will be able to split that up between his units and finish off that Skywrath Mage with relative ease.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, they got the Medusa just spawned back, so she's going to go back to farming. It's not even close to that Lincoln's, and usually a good Medusa, I mean, she's relatively close, I guess. She probably gets in around 25 minutes in, which is not a good timing for Medusa. So right now, really good job by LC of shutting her down. And this, what's impressive is the Broodmother is not only pushing, but also getting constant kills. Reload again now on the Viper. They really want to kill this guy. They don't even need to use the ultimate, but they're going to do it anyway to get that extra cooldown on his respawn. And it's an Ag ultimate. Wow.
Yeah, Madara able to be left totally to his lonesome in that top lane, was able to pick that up with the Midas, and now doing so much work already on the Medusa and the Viper with these extra respawn times, and this is just allowing LC to farm more on their cores. And the Lina, 2200 gold in addition to the drums. Yules can pick up 2 elements of the Aghanims and is not far off that if that's her choice. Smoke up immediately mid lane from AlbumSheet. They may find Kaiser. This will be a big target to find, and he will get the Light Strike Array off with the Yules, but only going to delay the inevitable here. And the Mystic Flare is going to be there. Kaiser moving pretty quickly, but going to be finished off by that Arcane Bolt. And unfortunately, the Mystic Snake not there to do it for the Medusa. But either way, a nice kill onto Kaiser's Lina. Meanwhile, Relax is pushing the tier 3 in the bottom lane.
I mean, what do you do against this constant split push? Because you can't fight anywhere without Relax just pushing your lane. And obviously, Medusa is left there to farm his spiders, but he keeps getting killed. What is the strategy here for AlbumSheet?
Really,
never mind. It's gonna be okay. No.
Yeah, I really am hard pressed to find, what they do up against Relax. They're gonna have to commit multiple heroes to Relax, but already moving so quickly in those webs and usually able to get out. We'll be probably able to pick up a BKB if that's the choice here, but it's not the most effective against Viper Strike and the Stone Gaze. So I mean, they really need to commit more than just these supports to the lane that Relax is in. They need this Viper Strike up on this Broodmother. They need to kill him off. But meanwhile, every time they have looked to commit there, he seems to find a return kill, and the rest of the lineup of LC is farming. And now they're going to be able to sneak a Roche here. So I really worry for AlbumSheet's ability to transition this Medusa to late game. She's at 5,800 net worth and pretty much choked into her base. She's building into a Lincoln Sphere as well. So I mean, pretty defensive item. It's good on Medusa, but either way, it's not going to be enough, I feel, against this LC lineup. And they will get the Aegis over to Kaiser, who really has been the only hero dying from LC thus far.
Yeah, that's, I guess, make sure that she doesn't die anymore, and they're pretty much set. The only issue I see is that this Lincoln's, though, is gonna stop Laguna play. They have or the Reaper, so they have they don't have any ways to stop it. They have, I guess, the
Fisher
Spiderlings. And that's it? Is that it, actually?
Yeah, Fisher pops Lincolns as well. Fisher does pop Lincolns, yeah. Last time I checked. So, but they don't have too much. Top lane, though, Relocate comes in. Mystic Flare gonna whiff completely onto Madara, and the defensive Relocate is there to bring him out. So it looks like the Wisp will feed over his life here. Necrophos actually TPing to that top lane, perhaps looking to re-engage here along with Skanks' Earthshaker. If they re-engage for a big Echo Stomp, there will be the tether back. And the Fisher is there to zone them out. Well played from LC, saving their Wisp. Relax, not able to get any split push pressure done as the bottom lane was pushed out pretty heavily, but Kaiser looking to fix those issues, and they will look to put some split push back into them hereafter.
Yep, and that is actually I guess the best situation for AlbumSheet, kind of making sure that they, shave off the pressure that LC is putting up and farm up. That is really what they want to do on this Medusa, and I guess she's getting closer to the Lincolns.
Yeah, she is 1,700 gold, so not too far off that ultimate aura, but still quite a ways away, all things considered. Relax is going to scout out a couple here from their lineup. Viper Strike goes out onto Kaiser. Jump forward from Afterlife. He's going to be stunned initially from the Fisher. There's the Echo Slam as well. Laguna Blade will be there. Reaper Scythe going to hit absolutely nothing. Kaiser still has an Aegis, though. Akvarium trying to TP out. The Enchant Totem Strike will be there, and GG is called. LC, after a strong early game from AS, looking so good in their movement with those relocates and decision making. Relax, way too much of a nuisance on that Broodmother, and they'll take this game one in convincing fashion.
That was very, very convincing. They completely destroyed AlbumSheet through really, really good execution. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely a draft that we favored in well-roundedness for AlbumSheet, but I don't know about that last pick, Medusa. Really hard to fight up against the Necrophos Lina Broodmother, and unfortunately they're able to shut her down. And looking very good was LC. They'll do this sub 25 minutes, something we're definitely used to thus far in Bridon League. We had like 4 games in Group B, sub 25 minutes, 3 in Group C, and this is the first of Group D. But guys, we will be back with the next game. LC playing once again up against Aspera. So we'll see. Aspera currently 1-0, how they're able to fare versus this LC lineup.